So today we're going to be looking at Google Documents and how we can use them in the classroom. Now, the first thing we want to acknowledge is that because you've probably been using Microsoft Word for years, there are a lot of similarities. And so in one sense today, I don't really want to go over all of the ones which maybe you already know about. I want to actually talk through and show you a few extra things that maybe you're not so clear on. Obviously, I'm happy to take any questions that need to be given so we can look at in class as we work through this. So here we are, we're looking at a standard environment here. I'm just going to paste some text which I've already grabbed from the Sydney Morning Herald. And that text there, you can see it's come in the format which was the fonts and the sizes that was on the actual Herald's website. So if I highlight this, here's one that not a lot of people are clear of. If I go up here to Format and go to Clear Formatting, it takes it back to the default fonts which we actually have within this section here. So that's where that's been set up there, and that can be a really handy way of doing it. Secondly, if we want to play with some of the standard fonts, we can actually change them. So you can see how it's set up here that the normal font is Arial 11-point font. So we have this menu here called the Style menu, and we have 6 inbuilt styles, one of which is what we call normal text. So this now is been set to be normal text since we removed the formatting. But let's say for some reason we would like to be able to set up a heading from Sydney Morning Herald. Now, there is an inbuilt style for a straight away, which I come up here and I can select, which says all of these ones here. You can see already I've actually adapted my one so that there's a dark blue in the heading. I figure if I'm going to do documents online, I might as well use color, and so that's set up there like that. So it's a particular font, still Arial, it's bold, and it's dark blue. But if I wanted to change them, I can actually do that if I want. So for example, if I want all my headings to be just a little bit bigger at 18-point font, and I might choose that I'd like something just a little bit brighter than that blue there. So I've now done that, but I don't want to have to keep doing it all the time in the document. So I can click up here and it recognizes that it's heading 1. But next to it there is a apply heading 1 option, which means set it back to where it was, or I can update what heading 1 actually is. So if I click on that, it doesn't look like anything's happened, but if I come back to this menu, that's now bigger and it's lighter blue. And so if I come down here to read more and highlight that, and I go and select that now, all of that section, including the link unfortunately, has been set to be like that. I don't feel if I do normal text it will go back. So it's treating that as one big paragraph, even though it's not looking like it. Now if I put a little carriage turn in there, hopefully just that one will become big. Yeah, so it was actually one long paragraph there. So there you go, that's styles, that's a handy one. I'm going to jump through a couple of documents that I already have here. So I'm going to click at this. This is my At the Movies groupings for media classes in Year 10. So I created a table where they had to write in the 2 students who were working together, the movie that they're going to review and what the rating was. So that's that there. If at any stage you have doubts about who it was who did the changes to the document, you can see here it tells me the last edit was made by Vanya on the 16th of June. But if I click up here and go to File and see Revision History, I get this section over here which shows me what the document looked like at different points in time. So if I want to go back to this point here at 8:43 on June the 11th, you can see that this is what it looked like at that stage, and the purple writing belongs to Liam Rouse. I click here and you can see that there's been some changes made at this point in time. Liam is just written in M there, and then the bright pink is Brittany, and so we're starting to click along here. And if somebody did something dumb to the document, deleted everyone's work, I could simply open up the revision history, find the version that I actually want to keep, see how it shows that they made some changes there, and then go, actually, yeah, the one that I really want to keep is back here. And then there's a button here called Restore This Revision, which I won't press because it would overwrite where I was up to with this. I'd lose some of the students' work. But if I needed to wind it back a day, I could do that. I could also make a copy of this document, so I had 2 versions, and then I could wind it back. We have discovered some students occasionally writing some not so nice things in their documents and then deleting it, and this was the way that it proved that that's what they actually did. When you finish, just click that back and it returns to its normal mode. So revision history is very handy. It is possible when you set up some work for some students to have links within it, so it becomes a very dynamic worksheet. So here's some work that we did in Year 10 Media a little while ago where they had to watch 4 short movies, they had to rate out of here how well the movie went in different criteria, and then they had a spot to write their overall thoughts in. So I created this part of the form. Well, it's not a form, I guess, sorry. It looks like a form, but it's just a document, but it has some links in here. So all I've had to do to create the link was go and find the address, paste it in, and then if I highlight it, if it doesn't pick it up automatically that it's a link, there is an option up here called Insert Link. So I can make any word be a link if I want to. So I can go quality there. I can say Insert Link, and then I could even, it has some suggestions here, but I could just say, okay, from that I want you to be able to go google.com and apply. And so what happens is when they put the mouse over here and we click on that, it pops up another window next to it there, and so therefore the video that I wanted them to watch is embedded in the worksheet. And just so you can see what it looks like, here is some students' work which have actually completed the task, and probably not to the full depth that I was hoping to. It was a day I was actually away from school, and so here are the YouTubes. They've filled this in, and I have left some comments here, which is probably one of the handiest things I think in this section. So let's come back to this one here. If you are reading some students' work and you would like to be able to leave some comments, there are several approaches that you can have. The simplest and most basic one is you can say, highlight the word that you want, come up here and click comments, and we can go here and click on the comment box. And so my name and my photo pops up on the side. No problem with students putting respectful photos next to their profiles. Are you sure it was Christchurch? Now obviously it's just a piece of, and that sits here floating on the side. And then what happens is the student comes and sees that, and they quite often will get an email notification to say that you've left them comments, and you click this open here and they can actually reply, and you can actually develop quite an interesting dialogue on the side about any suggestions that you've got there. When it's finished, if they've actually, people have said, oh that's great, you can resolve it and it disappears up here into the comments, but it can be brought back here under this list, and there is a drop down to then reopen it and bring it back if that's what you want to do. So that's a handy thing to be aware of as well. Marked as resolved, then reopened, and working through there. Secondly, this is reasonably new. If you're really in that editing mode and you've got several people working on the document and you don't want everyone to be changing it easily, one of the things you can do is you can switch the mode of the document from editing to suggesting. And then basically what happens there is if I come here and go highlight that and go happened and go a different word for happened, or instead of you I want them to write they. What happens here is it actually puts a line through there, bang, but it also does say over here, replace you with they. And then the other person can come in later on and go, tick, yes, I agree with that. Or I can then it gets resolved. So this suggesting mode is a really handy way of people leaving comments. You obviously can just do the normal commenting mode, but if people just want to put in extra things, anything that's typed in while you're in the suggesting word comes in like that. And then when you tick yes, it's either approved or not approved. Handy system that you can use. Alright, probably one of the things that I've always loved in Word and I also love in this environment is now, so let's get out of suggesting and back to editing. Alright, so back in editing mode is tables. Tables are fantastic ways of laying things out on the screen. So let's just have a look at how the tables have developed over the last couple of years. I can come in here, obviously I can lay out my table in the way I want. If I wish to color a particular cell or several cells, I can highlight them. I can come up here to table and table properties, and then I can change a number of aspects of this. So I can change the color of the border, which I do that one very often, but I certainly can change the color of the cell. So it changed all the borders there, but these two cells that I had highlighted can be looking like that. So you can change that. And if you've got another cell you want to do the same thing to, you can come up here and go redo. So you just keep clicking in the cells and going redo, or Command Y or Control Y on a PC. So that's handy. Something new that happened in the last couple of years is the capacity to merge some cells. So if I highlight those four and I can right click and I can merge, and there are a lot of other options up here as well which are available to us. So in some of these things in the past we felt a little bit limited with that. Alright, so One of my biggest tricks, I guess, with writing exam papers is quite often I will lay out my exam in a 3-column table. Something like this. Over here I put in question numbers. Over here I put in my questions. And then quite often what I'll do is I'll put this one out here and I'll go this will be the number of marks that they're worth. So 3, 2 and 1. I can grab that column and I can center it so they always sit underneath each other. So I build my exam looking like that, and then when I'm finished, highlight the table and go to the table properties, and then I can go, I do not want a table border, I want a white table border, and then it all is aligned beautifully, but you can't see the lines anymore, and so therefore it doesn't feel like it's actually been set up there. But you can still bring this across to here and align and do the adjustments, even though you can't see it. You've made it work from there. Alright, a couple other quick things that I wanted to show you today. There is the capacity, which is very helpful. I know some people have seen this from me before, to come up here and to go to the Tools menu and turn on this option called Research. So there's a whole list of stuff here. But let's start with images. Let's say I want a picture of the Mona Lisa. Okay, so there is brought in these pictures here in the list. So instead of going out on the web copying and pasting, I can just grab it from here and drag and drop. And a couple of things that have happened at this point which are very handy. Firstly, it's got a little number 1 here, which means right down the bottom of my document, the number 1 now tells us where we got it from. So from a plagiarism point of view of where did you get that material, this is gold for collecting where the images came from. Secondly, you can come up here and you can add a filter by license. So at the moment it's not filtered by, but I can click over here to free to use, share or modify, and so then officially I'm using documents, images, which I actually can legally use because the person who made that image has enabled us to be able to use it in other places. They've already said they can do that. There's some different citation formats, but obviously we'll just leave it like that. There are a lot of other sections here. If you search the web, you can search the web from in here. Here's the Mona Lisa. Here's some information in here. You can preview it and have a look at what the website looks like. But then you also can insert a link into your document about that one. Or if they've gone off and they've read this page, so it pops out as an extra thing. They read it, they've read it, they've gone, oh yeah, okay, that's useful information. Great, so, yep. But when I come back here, I'm going to type it up and then I can cite where I got that inspiration from by simply pressing cite. And then down here, it does all the dates that it was accessed and where it came from, which is fantastic. Alright, well the research tool, that's excellent. Alright, so let's just show you a couple other quick things that we've done with Google Documents in Media Classrooms, which might be helpful. This here is a template that we use for our major projects in Year 11. It has a whole lot of set out for them. Here are all the sections that they need to do. This is the research section, and then each of them has some blue instructions which tells the students what they have to do. It's like a pre-created workbook. There's nothing to stop us from even just telling them to create their own workbook as they go along, but it gives them all the hints and the tips of how that's set out. And so here, when it comes to this, here's one from a few years ago from Ellie Sharp, and here is her project. And so she has taken the original headings and removed what was underneath the blue writing because she's actually done it. And then here is links to the videos, the images, and what she liked about it and how it helped her come up with the concept and idea for her major project. It doesn't suit every aspect, like we can't easily bring storyboards into this section. So I think when it gets to storyboards we might have a photo of hers. I think she's even just left it blank and she handed it in physically to me. So I think that's a really handy thing to do there. So that's some of the new things, or maybe things that you've seen before, and just a refresh to help with today. So feel free at this stage to stop and to experiment and to play. I've got one more thing that I want to show just the maths teachers out there, just so that you're aware that it exists, and I think it's a very handy thing. But the rest of you feel free to turn off at this point. Okay, maths teachers. I'm just going to insert a new page so we've got a fresh. Actually, let's just go back here and we'll go new doc, and this will be for maths. Now I'm going to omit not every aspect of Google Docs is going to be suitable in the maths classroom. It can be a bit tricky, but this one is very cool. There is now an add-on for maths called GMath. So there's this thing here called GMath, and it says plus free, so all I have to do to install it is do that there. It will ask for permission to do a few things, read about it, obviously, hopefully you'll agree, and press accept. So now what will happen is, working, GMath will create functions and inequalities and all this sort of stuff you can do. You can even do speech to math using Google Chrome and handwriting entry. Okay, so there we go, we've got that there. And we got GMath, and we can go create a graph. Maths expression. And we get this over the side here. It even allows me to do the recognition by voice and how it goes, but then I can come down here and go y equals x minus 2 squared, and so using some of this common format I can go insert that into my document. Okay, but then I also, from that, if I've got this right, can click on that, add-ons, and go create a graph. No, it hasn't brought it down. Enter the functions you want to plot y equals x minus 2 squared. Insert into doc. And it has actually brought it in, and because I had it highlighted it replaced it, which is probably a bit of a pain, but it has created the graph for us in these particular things. Now I know there are a lot of other ways of producing this as well, but it does show you that there are certainly some tools within the Google Documents environment that would help. If I come up here to insert an equation, I also have a very cut down but reasonably powerful maths equation editor built into here. Alright, hopefully that's helpful, and as you start to play with it today, that will be handy for you.